Hey, TechKnowStuds! I thought it'd be a good idea to get a visual of what one of these assessments may look like. I've got a couple real basic ones, and we're going to take a look at them. We're going to start at the asset inventory and assessment. All right, so the inventory side of it is over here on the left-hand side. And so maybe we just have the asset name. Maybe we are recording assets by the serial numbers. And so maybe there's some sort of serial number to this machine. And maybe we're recording maybe this is another desktop. So we've got a desktop and then it's maybe at a remote location. So we're going to select it. So really essentially the inventory side of this is just saying who is it assigned to. Right now, maybe the owner is, let's say it's George here, and they're part of the finance team. And so there we have the owner, and we've got it logged. Now we can start tracking this device. The second part of this is more of the assessment side of it. And this is going to be a basic, we're going to actually learn more about these assessments later on and what they look like. I'm just going to get some numbers in here to begin with because I don't want to cover it too much. Besides, we're not actually going to be doing assessments of the actual assets, where later on we're going to be doing the assessments of an actual risk. And so that looks a little different. But this helps us identify what is going to be our more risky assets. So over here now, we have a risk factor that we have for each one of those. This is the factor based out of 1, so a fraction of 1. And so we can see this one's getting a little bit up there. It's about halfway there. And then we see a weighted number right here, and that's out of everything that's been assessed so far, where it kind of falls in line. So we can see that this is the 1 is the top weighted. That would be our number 1 concern right there, and this one would be the next one, and then these two come in at a bit of a tie here. So this is an asset inventory and assessment, and a way that we can track our different assets here, and then also do some preliminary investigation on the risk of those. Here's another assessment that could help out. This is data inventory and assessment. So you would add all your data locations here. And if it's recreatable, meaning that is it something I could just download from maybe a partner or from some other source? Or is it something that we've actually, maybe it's customer data that we have created that no one else can really create. No one, it's something that is not recreatable. And then we might attach an owner to it, an admin to it. We would specify a recovery point objective and a recovery time objective. I'm not going to get into those into this lesson, but that's kind of the recovery point is how far back we're willing to lose information. And this says only 15 minutes of information to be lost if there was an incident. And then RTO is recovery time, so how long it would take to recover if there was an incident. So once again, we'll go more in depth into that later. But then in here, I'm also going to rate on confidentiality, integrity, and availability, similar to the asset assessment that we did. And then is this, what is the primary source? So for instance, this is a SQL database. So is that SQL database encrypted? And we're saying yes for that one. Is it backed up on site? And yes, is the backup encrypted? And we've got no for that one. Is there a offsite copy of this? And yes, there is. Is it encrypted? Yes, it is. And then are we meeting the recovery point, which would be this recovery point objective, or the recovery time objective? And if we were meeting it, it would be 1. If we're doubling it, it would be 2. If we're tripling it, it would be 3. So wherever we stand on that. And then this gives us some values that are associated with this, so that way we can have a bit of an assessment and determine what is our hot topics, where's our riskiest levels from a data inventory standpoint. So this is something that we could do for an assessment to identify the riskiest data that we have, the data that we're most concerned about.